Hey everybody, it's Professor Williams, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of the cloud version of Minitab. When you open or launch the app, you're going to be brought to this home page, and you can either start a new blank project where you would just enter your own data, or you can open a file. Because this is a cloud-based version, it's going to look for cloud-based storage. So Google Drive, OneDrive, I'm going to ask it to open a local file, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to open some public transit data. That was an Excel file I just opened, and Minitab does an excellent job of um, importing Excel data. So I have actually three areas now that I'm looking at. This area down here where my data is located is what I like to think of as my worksheet. Then I have this area, this blank area up here that I'm looking at, which is where my output will go. And then I have the navigator that is going to keep track of everything that I do and allow me to toggle back and forth between different actions I've taken using this spreadsheet. So I can also drag this guy up and make him bigger. So what I want you to see is that this first row in Minitab is reserved for variable names. You'll see it brought in system, which is the name of the system, the number of stations, miles, and vehicles. You'll also notice that the column headings are different. Column 1, C1-T, tells me that everything in column 1 is formatted as text. If you encounter an issue with Minitab running your data, double check the column designation, because once it's converted to text, you can't perform any quantitative analysis on that column. You'll see I have C2, C3, and C4 are all numeric, and I know they're numeric because they're missing the T. So, let's look at the most common functions you all will use probably as you're getting started. Minitab works just like any other software where it works off of drop-down menus. And so under your data menu item, you're going to see the ability to work with your worksheets, and that's going to be merging them however you want to work with the actual worksheet portion. You can copy your data, you can unstack your columns, you can make columns into rows, you can delete your variables, you can change your data type, and this is where you would sort your data. The next one is the Calc menu. And here we have the ability to calculate statistics based on columns or rows. When it says standardize, what Minitab will do is it will convert all of your variables to their standard or z-score. I can ask it to make pattern data for me. I can also create indicator variables here. So if I wanted to use indicator variables in a regression model, this would be a great way to do it. It will calculate or produce a set of random numbers, which is random data. So it's the same function as in Excel where you get that rand num. This is your random data. It will actually take samples out of your columns, but most importantly is this is where you locate your probability distributions. This version of Minitab requires you to select your function first, cumulative, inverse, or the density function. Once you select the function, you will then be able to select the probability distribution. So this is where you would go for normal distribution, Poisson, hypergeometric, exponential, any of the probability distributions that we deal with. Under the Stat menu is where we're going to find basic statistics. And there's a difference between displaying and storing these descriptive statistics. Displaying them will put them here on your screen in your kind of output window. If you selected store, it will store each individual statistic in its own column. Needless to say, not what you want. We always want to display. I never use the store. Another thing that's important to note is that here where you see all of your 1 sample, 2 sample, variance, all of these right through here, this is where you're going to come if you're either going to create a confidence interval or run a hypothesis test. Closer to the bottom, you'll see we have our correlation and covariance. It'll also give you a normality test for normal distribution, and it'll test your data for outliers. This is where you would run a simple linear regression analysis. You can run ANOVA out of this menu. You can do design of experiments, control charts. This is where your time series data is. So if you want to do moving average, exponential smoothing, some type of lag, moving average, you'd come down here to time series. This tables will give you your crosstab and chi-square. And then we have some non-parametric statistics, equivalence tests, and then your power and sample size. And it will give you power and sample size either for your test or just for estimation or for tolerance intervals. Should you need to graphically depict your data, come to Graph, and you have your choice of virtually every type of chart you can think of. Heat maps, box plots, stem and leaf, scatter plots, all here from your Graph menu. When you get to View, this lets you choose what you see. I have data and output. So my data is down here in my worksheet. My output is going to come up here in my output window. I can say just my data. I can say just my output. Or I say data and output. The next thing while we're over here is you'll notice that Minitab is giving you this warning. It's saying, hey, you're working in an untitled file that is not currently saved. In order to save your work, click on the down arrow, and then you're going to have to sign into a repository. Again, Google Drive or your OneDrive. Once you've signed in to either your Google or Microsoft Drive, you'll be able to give your file a name and then have it saved. But Minitab is going to give you this warning that says you're working away, but you haven't saved this stuff anywhere. So let's look over here on the left. Again, the home button is just that. It takes me right back to the home. And then this is what I was working in, was that untitled worksheet. Navigator is a toggle switch. So Navigator will remember and allow you to toggle among and between everything that you've done with your data. And I can hide it or show it. And that's simply a toggle. I'm just hiding and showing. Add and open is exactly that. I can add another file to this workbook. I could actually add just data to the worksheet, and I can get it from a local file or one of my cloud storages. And then last but not least, this is the file that we're working on. If I wanted to just close this out without saving it, you'll see there's that X right there, and it would say close. Minitab is going to say, are you sure you want to leave because you have unsaved changes? And I'm going to say, no, I do not want to leave without saving my changes. So this is a quick overview, but I think it gives you enough to at least begin playing around with the cloud-based version of Minitab and get going on your statistics work. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.